I promise. But this is definitely far better than it has been. So I've got a couple of promotions that I wanted to go over before I get into the crafting. So let me pull that up. Okay, so last chance product sale. Time is running out. You only have until April 30th. I don't know what that was, if you just saw something fly by there or if it was just me, maybe a ginormous piece of dust. So the last chance product sale is coming to a close and quick. So if there is anything that you've been thinking about getting on there, how did I end up on that? Then be sure to shop soon. And my host code is still active until the end of day, April 30th. So if you would like to get your hands on a free combo pack of Stampin' Blends, which unfortunately I don't have in here, I created the graphic but didn't get around to putting it in here because I had to eat. But if there's anything that you've been wanting, then hop on in there and get it soon. Some of these, like the All Things Fabulous bundle, that's not retiring, but the bundle price is. So if you want to save that 10%, then get it now. So next we have Butterfly Bouquet, and it is the last call. There is only one more week to get this. Now, the Butterfly Brilliance bundle will be in the new annual catalog, but the DSP, obviously, Butterfly Bijou, is not available. You won't be able to get that wood grain specialty paper. I think it was a whole suite thing. Anyways, there's only a week left for that, but the Butterfly Brilliance Bouquet will be in the new catalog. And last but not least, we have Join Plus. So May 4th to the 31st, you can join for only $135 Canadian, which is our regular price, but you are getting $206 worth of product, and you choose that. Stampin' Up! Doesn't decide what you're getting, you decide what you're getting. So there you can join my Crafted AF team. We are growing every day, and my link to join is right at the bottom there. If you have any questions, I am happy to answer. And I can't see Facebook, so I hope that this is all working. Anyways, let's go back to here. Were you able to hear all that? Because I can't quite see the comments. I hope that it wasn't just images and you couldn't hear me. Let me pull up Facebook. The only problem with this is that I'm using my phone, my iPad, my MacBook, and I have nothing left to watch anything on. My TV in here won't stream Facebook or YouTube, so it's like flying blind. So not only do I have the tech issues, but, oh, the echo is back. Okay, let me work on that quickly. I have watched every possible video I can on this software. Let's do that one and we'll take it off of that. Okay. Open, fingers crossed. I can't hear myself. It's coming and going. Let me test it. I seem to be frozen. The echo is back. I think it's because I have to mute. Let's mute Let's try muting that one and keeping that one. Do we have sound? Oh, comedy of errors. Sound. Ah! Oh, you're so sweet, Jenny. Notice I'm still smiling. Okay, let's mute that. Still hear me, right? Thumbs up. Give me a thumbs up. The comments are so volume up if possible. I don't know how to up. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Do. Lots of thumbs up. You can hear. Thanks through it. We're like how many minutes into this? And Feline, I don't blame you. I would skip a good 15 minutes into the replay too. Can't hear anything, but I hope you can. Is the volume okay? Okay. You can't hear it when I have the volume up on here. So I think, good, Jenny, skip 14 minutes ahead. I might edit this. But if you're still here, thank you for there. If this is your first time here, testing new streaming software for a few weeks, and oh my gosh, I think once I get this all figured out, I could run like a masterclass, and people who need to learn how to use this stuff could figure out what not to do. Okay, so I think you can hear me. I think the volume's good. The only downside I have comments. So all the promos. I hope you heard what I was saying during the promos. So I'm doing a mashup. Is this even? Can you see my hands? Looks like it. Can I just, before I get going on this, I just want to show you that the colors I have on my nails are so close to soft succulent and evening. How cool is that? Not exactly, but pretty darn close, right? Okay, so I'm doing a mashup, carrying forward to the new annual catalog. I saw that it was carrying forward. I thought, okay, I'm going to get a full year to play with it now, right? And these dies, the special day dies, are still in stock. They're on the last chance products list. I want to say they're $9.75. But it's probably because I have this. Let me mute that. I don't need to hear myself. They're not on the clearance rack. They're in the last chance products, and I believe they're $5. Fantastic deal. I don't have the stamp set because I don't need the squirrel. Really long story, and raccoons just are not. They don't create a good lasting memory around here. There's a story behind that. But I got it for this grass die and the speech bubble. And I mean, these little hearts are cute. But I mean, you could get the stamp set too. But the dies are like less than $10. And last week's live, you saw that I had created this background and I wanted to do some kind of pull up. And it just didn't work. I ran out of time before the live. So yesterday, I was with the Way to Goat stamp set, and I want to give you a tip. When you're coloring animals, a good idea is to do a search. It would appear that I'm frozen, but I want to suggest that you do a giggle, perhaps a giggle, but a Google image search and like look up goats and see what come in, because I mean, I was just going to color light. And I found one that had all of these colors in it. This is kind of a dog's breakfast. And then this one, I don't love it. He kind of looks more, but I had to cut because I had cut into this to do that pull up part, and frozen. We're having trouble with video. Okay, I think I'm back. If you're having troubles, I'm frozen or whatever, and come back in. I try to refresh, but the best thing that you can do is exit, like not shut down Facebook and your computer and everything, but leave my live and come back in. I'm sorry, I keep looking at myself instead of the camera. I actually got dressed. I'm wearing jeans today and not sweatpants. Anyways, go to Google. Go to the Google. Take it to the Google and look up some images. So with the From All of Us, I think part of the reason I didn't get this initially was because it's so much coloring. And if you want to do anything with them, you either have to mask them to do these trees, or you have to fussy cut them. And fussy cut is what I did. So this was my first attempt yesterday, and I did Google. One of the things that I do, I actually tend to go to Pinterest before I go to, actually no, scratch that. I go to Google before I go to Pinterest, because if it's on Pinterest, it's going to show up in a Google image search. So I found a couple of cute ideas of people that had colored them, and let me tell you, this stuck to my mat because I had colored so much of the basic black. But that is one well-saturated piece of paper. So not bad for my first attempt. And then I was watching one of my favorite coloring artists. And this is garbage. I will try to remember to add a link to the video that I was watching, because she was coloring birds. And she uses Copic markers and pencil crayons and pens. And I thought, okay, let's give this a shot. And I mean, while it has a little more texture, it's not perfect or great by any means, but the more you do it, the better you're going to get. So I mean, I used watercolor pencils, and in one instance, I think on the bear's muzzle and belly, I did blend it in, but the rest of them I just used the pencil crayons to add some depth. And one thing that I love to do, this is another Jennifer McGuire-ism, is I use the Sakura glaze gel pen to add a little dot of black to their eyes, their noses, and it just makes them come to life. And then for the white of the eye, I use my chalk marker. So let me show you how to do this. And I'll go through the process of coloring, but I am not going to do the fussy cutting. When it comes time to adhere this to the card, I'll just use one of these ones. So I did want to mention that I extended this. If you notice, the sentiment is longer than the die. So I did some partial die cutting in order to be able to get that. And if there are any sentiments on here that will work, like maybe From All of Us, I will show you how to do that in case you're new to partial die cutting, new to anything like that. But can you please let me know, 79 comments, it's probably, I can't hear you, I can't hear you, I can't hear you. Please let me know in the comments below, or a message or whatever, if you have any feedback for me, on how this looks. I really wanted to be able to show you my hands and my face, and I think I finally have the setup right. So I don't have to be way over here. I don't have to be way over here. I think I've got it figured out. I didn't want to nest my webcam into my hand image, but if you're finding the comments are distracting on there, please let me know. It took a little bit of time to build this, but nothing I can't undo. So please, I would love your feedback, because I'm making these for you. I'm not doing this for me. Okay, so I need to turn on this light. I've got all this lighting, and now that my iPad is up here, it casts such a shadow right there. So one of these days, I'm going to give you that craft room tour, and you're going to see this whole crazy setup. Okay, so I was lazy and I didn't actually clean this from when I did this at lunch. Bad on me. So we're going to stamp this on basic white cardstock. Perfect. I find that by like rubbing it over and then kind of tapping it, I get a better coverage. But I mean, that's just me. I colored this the first matte. When I was coloring this one at lunch today, this one, I actually just used like a pad of paper. One thing I will mention is I have always heard that when you're coloring with alcohol markers, you need to color on paper, cardstock, paper, whatever, because that alcohol it needs to kind of get pushed back in. But I also had a team member the other day that said there are kind of mixed opinions on that. So let's see. Now, with this new fancy dancy stuff, despite all the sound issues at the beginning, I can zoom in. Okay, so I don't know why, but every time I have colored this, all 2 times, I have started with the ostrich, and I'm not sure why. But I am using, so another Google image save. I wish I could share the images, but I mean, I'm using my phone and my iPad. I Googled ostrich, and it's actually kind of tricky to get an accurate picture of an ostrich because a lot of times their head's in the sand, but they kind of look like a weird turkey. Like their necks are kind of like reddish, and I thought, you know what, pale papaya is going to be good enough. So I started with my light, and it's totally up to you. There's no right or wrong. You can start with light, you can start with dark. The only caveat with light is that if you don't work quick, you're going to have to come in and use your light again. And during this weekend's Blends Club class, we were talking about how since Stampin' Up! Discontinued the individual Stampin' Write markers, we're all going through a lot more light, and we have a lot more dark that's just kind of sitting around, which is annoying because, I mean, I don't know about you, but I don't use just dark. Okay, so we're going to do ostrich's neck. My son he kind of peeked in on what I was doing, and he's like, what's the ostrich's name? And I'm like, I don't know, Ollie the ostrich. And he came up with names for all of these little animals, but I don't remember what they were. Okay, so for her little beak, this is a her. I don't know. Is this zoomed in enough? Are we good? I don't see, because I didn't expand it. Hi, Pam. This is the From All of Us stamp set. I'm zoomed in so far now that it's like, whoa. So this is one that was in last year's annual catalog, and it is carrying forward to the new catalog. So I jumped on the bandwagon and got it. Okay. It's perfect. Good. Okay, so beak. Now, I've mentioned it before, but if this is your first time here, one, thank you so much for sticking it out because that was a brutal start. But I stand at my crafting table, so when I go to color, I have to kind of bend down so you won't see me in like the webcam part then. Eventually, I may get a stool. I thought I was going to get one right away, and then I'm actually really liking this. You get an anti-fatigue mat, and it's good. My only downside is that my dogs are always laying on it, and I'm like, hey, get off. That's for me. Okay, so, I want to do her little eyelids in Pale Papaya too. And if you don't have Pale Papaya yet, one, if you're in Canada, join my In Color Club because that's going to be starting next month, and you'll get this shameless plug. You'll get the cardstock and the Stampin' Blends and the ink pads and the re-inker and the ribbon, and I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but you'll get all of that, and the sign up is on my page. Product shares. I totally miss putting product shares in my little promotions. I focused on Stampin' Up! Promotions. So product shares are starting with the new catalog. I'm just using light basic black to outline her feathers. So product shares, in the easiest possible way to explain it, is you're getting a quarter of everything for a quarter of the price. So it's a great way to try out the new DSP and the new ribbons and the new embellishments. And I know a lot of demonstrators don't offer the embellishments, but I mean, I think that's a great way to try everything, because you need 24 of the new Bumblebee trinkets, or do you just need 8? 6. I would say 6, right? And then if you decide that you need 24, you can go and order a full pack. But maybe there's something that looks fantastic in the catalog and you're not so sure that you need them all or that you're going to get that. It's a great way to start. I participate in my own shares because, I mean, like I just said, I don't need 24 bumblebees. I actually have, in that embellishment right up there, I still have the antiqued corners and slides from the Beautiful World suite from last year. I don't think I've used one. So I participate in it too. I think it's a great way to try it. Okay, so moving to the turtle, we are going to use the Granny Apple Green combo pack and Mossy Meadow combo. So I can just start by flooding. If you don't know what that term is, it's totally a coloring or a cookie decorating. Oh, I guess cake decorating too. We could basically color the whole thing in light Granny Apple Green. But flooding is just adding color to the entire area and prepping it for blending. I've gotten a lot more comfortable with my blends. I'll now use the brush tip for a lot more than I ever would have. Okay, so anywhere that there might be a shadow, I'm just going to add a little bit of dark Granny Apple Green. And you don't have to overthink this. It doesn't have to be complicated. Come in and blend this a little bit. I can't forget his little eyelid. I kind of have to concentrate. Hello, Colleen. Okay, so for this little area in between his spots, I'm going to, let's just color the whole thing with the light Mossy Meadow. And I'm going to do his little toenails or whatever you'd call those in Mossy Meadow as well. I didn't Google this one to see what a turtle looks like, but I did see one shell when I was looking, and it was almost like it was white. I'm like, turtle's shell isn't white? Do you forget to color? So I know I'm like super zoomed in, but can you see I basically just added a little bit at all of the points, and then I can come back in with my light, blend it out, and it just adds a little bit more. So then for these little, I don't know what they are, areas, we're just going to feather in a little bit of dark Granny Apple Green. I'm going the wrong way. It feels like I'm using my left hand. And we'll blend it with our light. And if you want a little more depth in there, you can keep adding colors. The only thing I would warn you about is that if you add too much, it will start to bleed. So we could let this sit for a few minutes and come back to it and add some more, because I think what I'm going to do is bring in a little bit of Old Olive just to kind of yellow it up a little bit and darken it up. But I don't want to flood it so much that it floods right out of the lines. Okay, next up is the Toucan, and I'm going to start by just using my light So Saffron, color his whole little beak. Going to come in, with dark Pale Papaya. and then pumpkin pie. Good evening, Megan. No need to ever apologize, Linda. You missed all of the action with the new streaming setup. Consider yourself lucky. Okay, and then I'm just going to go over the dark part with the dark pale papaya, and then we'll come in with the So Saffron again. And I think toucans are probably a little bit brighter than this, but it's still cute. But it is a very small area, so you can't spend too much time on it or it will flood right on out of there. I'm not sure why I didn't do this when I was doing the ostrich, because I think every other time I have. I'm just coloring this in light basic black. I don't know about you, but anytime I've ever used the dark basic black, it just completely obliterates everything. So I think I did the whole thing in black. So let's just do that. I didn't actually Google a toucan. Oh, he's so cute. We're going to add a little bit of pumpkin pie for his legs. And if you don't feel comfortable using a Stampin' Blend for that, because I mean, look how much I just went out of the line. Use your Stampin' Write marker, but I would highly recommend waiting until the end because the water-based markers will run if they come into contact with the alcohol-based markers. They don't play very nice. So with this, it bothers me that these two are right next to each other because it is a lot of brown in the area. So if you notice on this one, I used cinnamon cider for the monkey and soft suede and crumb cake, but I lifted a little bit of it to get them so that it's not this huge chunk of brown in the middle. And this was, I mean before, but this was part of the suggestion in this YouTube video today, was you don't want to have too much of any one color dominate an image. So I mean, we don't want to make everything brown. So I don't want to make the turtle's shell brown because that's just more brown. Let's start with dark. So the monkey really doesn't have a whole lot of shading or anything, so his limbs are also very small. So just use the dark. And I wish he had a little belly. Like I feel like there should be a part in there that's all belly, full of bananas. On that note of bananas, I was mentioning during our blends class this weekend, and if you don't know what Blends Club is, then you can ask me some questions. You can check Facebook, but I was doing my coloring, and I mean my phone is like right here, right? And I said that I was on a detox cleanse since I started it Thursday morning, so we're coming up to a week tomorrow, and I was starving, and Sunday was actually the day that I could have started eating normally again, and I actually chose not to. I kept doing the smoothies it was a smoothie for breakfast, lunch, snack, and dinner. And I am still happy to report that I am still doing the smoothies in the morning. It is a green smoothie, so I mean, there is quite a bit of fruit in it, but there's also almond butter, and there is coconut milk, and yum. And I mean, this isn't about the weight. It's about how my clothes fit, because they haven't been fitting well at all. And if you've been following me, you know that I finally went and bought some new pants because it was just like, oh, I've got nothing that fits. So I finally went out, got some pants that fit. And now, like yesterday, I opened the window in my craft room and it was 17 degrees out. And I'm like, oh, I'm not ready for shorts. I just figured out pants. It's too early for this. So now I got to go figure out shorts. Okay, so that was Ivory. This is Cinnamon Cider. He doesn't need a whole lot of shading. He's very small. So for the big bear, the first time I did this, I actually colored him. I colored this part in ivory too, and it was way too much ivory. The monkey's face basically sank into the bear's stomach. So we are going to do, what color do I want to do? I'm thinking light crumb cake. And if you're ever in doubt, just color it off to the side. So the difference between light crumb cake and ivory is going to be a little bit more red. Okay, so just swatch it. Take it off to the side and swatch it. I know that I'm going to be fussy cutting this at some point. And because this is a little bit darker than I want it to be, I'll come in with my color lifter and lift some of it. I find with the color lifter, it's not like an eraser. It's more to help blend, but I find that when I add it to anything, it does lift the color, but not like you're coloring. It's more like it adds texture. No sense, but now I also want to warn you that while my devices are fully charged, they're also like my MacBook is taking up, it's giving out a lot of resources. So I'm hoping that nothing dies. If it does, I'm sorry, but I'll have no battery power left on anything. Okay, so for the Big Bear, look at, I can't even use this. I think maybe I have another one, but I'm going to color with a bullet tip for this. So I'm using dark soft suede there. I better get a move on because I still have to create my background. So the reason I wanted to show you this is, one, this stamp set is carrying forward, which is great. Two, the special day dies are a steal, I think at $9.75. And I'm going to be using the dies, well, this is the grass from that. I'm going to be using the new Basic Borders dies for the clouds and the hill. And those are coming in the new catalog. And I mean, I don't think you'll miss them, but I did my tutorial for the Sweet Stampin' Connection. You're going to love that. That is the new incoming in colors, and we were each assigned a color. I had Fresh Freesia. And I shared my card, and a few people that are like, oh, why didn't I order that? So you will see, even as demonstrators, there are things that we miss that we're like, next order. It's like we're never done. Okay, so now I can bring in my mottled end and just go close. I don't want to get this on Lady Ostrich over there. So we'll do the rest with light soft suede. Whew, I haven't even had my tea. I'm sweating. So if anyone is wondering, I just looked up detox. Actually, I thought it was a juice cleanse because I had done it before. But this one was so good. It was so much easier than I thought. I hope Carolyn's still watching. Carolyn, I have not had a Diet Pepsi, Pepsi Max, Coke Zero, nothing like that. No aspartame since last Wednesday night. We're going on a week. And the worst of the symptoms, which was only a really bad headache, was on Thursday. And I went to bed and I haven't had one since. Feeling good. I mean, there's no, like, if there was weight lost, it's just water weight. But this is more about my clothes and not feeling so frumpy and old. Because I'm not that old yet. And I'm just tired of feeling tired and run down. And so if you would like, because I tried, I signed up for Weight Watchers and went and added all these meals, and then it didn't save anything, and I'm like, tried Noom for a couple of weeks, but it's not for me, and I've paid for the full year now, so that sucks. But you have to find what works for you. Okay, so that the coloring, and you'll be happy to know that while you're with me. Just gonna do that with my Stampin' Right marker. And if you don't have a glaze pen, the one that I was talking about, I'll try to... that's so cute, Jelly. You'll have to send me the link. Sleep jogging pants. Yesterday it didn't feel like 17 degrees was too cold for that. And I think in Australia you use Celsius too, right? People are probably like, 17, that's insane. But I live in Winterpeg, Manitoba. Like, yeah. As soon as it hits the double digits, everyone's in shorts and yeah. Okay, so if you don't have a glazed pen and you have no interest in getting one, you can always just use the shimmery effects, or you could use your fine tip glue pen. I really don't know how this is going to go because their eyeballs are so small. I might suggest coloring them with a Stampin' Right marker first because they don't have like a super dark pupil, eyeball. I don't know. Anyways, like I said, through the magic of TV and some actual prep on my part, we have that colored. I actually really like this one, but I'm not going to sit here and fussy cut because, I mean, I'm so picky that I had to go into the monkey's tail and in between the ostrich and the bear and in between the toucan and the bear. Pants. Picky, picky, picky pants. Yes, you do. So I am grabbing one more piece of basic white. I need some Pool Party and some Granny Apple Green. And because I made a mistake when I was cutting for Spring Fling, let me zoom, whoopsie. I made a mistake when I was cutting for Spring Fling, and luckily this was the only one I cut like that. But I have a bunch of Pool Party card bases, so I'm not going to glue it onto a base. I'm just going to do it. Ooh. So, paper trimmer. And believe me, I have not forgotten about the craft room tour. I just, so much going on. Prepping for Spring Fling, creativity delivered, Blends Club, working full-time, and everything else that I do, NBD, right? The craft room tour is just kind of taken a back seat, but I'm also trying to wait until I have everything figured out exactly the way I want, which I know it may never happen. Right? So I've got 2 pieces of Granny Apple Green. And I am grabbing my basic border dies. So it's these 6 here. We're going to use this as our hilltop. We're going to use this as our clouds. And I've shown these a couple of times. If you notice, there is stitching actually with the clouds. I think I've done this more than once. The clouds have stitching on both sides. The other dies, with the exception of the scalloped one, have stitching on one side and dots on the other. Like, how cool, right? So we can make this as high or low as we want because we can trim it on the bottom. We are going to get 2 sets of clouds out of this, so I think I'm going to take advantage of the fact that we have these 2 edges and die cut one going that way and one going that way. And then I've got this for my grass, which is from the Special Days dies. So the beauty of this is you look at it and you think, oh, but it's not very big. But you cut your grass way at the top and have all of this grass. It's not just like this tiny little bit. This is not a mowed lawn here. Okay, so let me clean up this mess. I need to open my window because I'm boiling. And I need my Stampin' Cut in a boss machine. So does anyone have any questions thus far? My brother's watching. I miss you. Even without COVID, I miss you. Hi, Jewel. Is that before I went live, I was going to do a test, and I thought, how am I going to do this test without going live on my page? I can't create like a test dummy page. I could test it separately to YouTube, but the whole point of this is that I'm streaming to both. So I didn't end up testing it, which I think was apparent with the audio issues, but I mean, I've had audio issues even when I have tested it. And where was I going with this? Oh, so I pop on Facebook at like 7, and there are like 6 demonstrators that are live at the same time. I'm like, oh, good Lord. I'm thinking, do I need to change my evening? But I mean, I think the 7:30 time is okay. Just catching up on comments. So speaking of the virus, okay, so do you see there's dots on this side and stitching on that little piece of cardstock stuck? I do. Piece of yellow. Squirrel. What was I talking about? It'll come back. It'll come back, or it wasn't that important. Or someone will remind me. I'm sorry, this is shaking the table a little bit. Anyways, the moral of the story is I couldn't believe how many people were live at the same time on a Wednesday evening. I mean, popular evening, huh? So I just want to bring my sample in because I'm looking at this. I'm like, wait a minute, how's that going to go? So we're taking advantage of that straight edge and we're going to line it up right at the top. So I want this set of clouds to be a lot higher up, basically as much as I can. And I do wish that we had another die because it's going to be very hard to stagger these clouds given that it's like the full width of the card base. Oh yes, thank you, Melanie. I knew I could count on you. Can I just say, brag for a second, I am loving how this looks. I did all of this, y'all. Like, I created the hexagon with the border where my head is. I hope that didn't interrupt. I just had a phone call, even though my phone is on Do Not Disturb. Rude. But yeah, I built all of that. I did that. But let me know if it's too much. Okay, so in Manitoba, so I went a little bit higher. But look, that is kind of staggered well. So third time's a charm. As of midnight last night, do you see that? It's too short. I'm going to grab one that isn't cut to a matte size and try that again because I don't want to do a card mat on there. So you don't even have to cut this. You can die cut the whole thing. So as of midnight last night in Manitoba, or at least the city of Winnipeg, we cannot have anyone in our household who does not reside here. Now, while that sucks, my first reaction was a TikTok video that I saw. I downloaded TikTok, watched like 2 videos. I'm like, nope, I'm going to get hooked on this, and I don't have time. So I watched this one video where this woman was talking about how countries in the world responded to lockdown. I measured that first to make sure it's going to fit, but it will. So she used her arm, and for China, they were in lockdown for 3 months. Went down to the 3 o'clock mark. I don't know if I'm going the right way or not. She's like, yep, seems normal. And then the US, 3 months. So she went down. Yep, normal. Europe, 6 months. Okay, so she goes down. She's like, yeah, not bad. And then she's Canada, and it's woo, woo, woo. Like just around and around and around. And I'm like, right? Like, we have been at this for over a year now. Why? And I mean, I'm no public health officer or anything, but why? Why didn't everything just get shut the hell down then? And we could have been done with all this. No. Dave's like, oh, you and everyone else would have freaked out. I'm like, we also had China as our, like, not role model, but they had been through it. We knew how bad this could go. And I mean, 14 months later, we're still doing this. Nuts. Nuts, I tell ya. Okay, so because I've used Granny Apple Green for both of these, this is not gonna stand out at all. So I want to do a little bit of ink blending. Also want to cut these clouds down so that they're both 5.5 wide. So let's just take it off one side. Oh, they pretty much are. I will take the top off when I get it on there. That sounds funny, doesn't it? Because obviously they can't come that far down. This paper trimmer is always closer. But I love this one, but I really wish that it went to 5.5 or 6. It's just so much easier to pull out than the other. Okay, so there's still a good stagger on there, so I'm going to grab my glue, excuse me. Oh, I feel like it's just bad everywhere, and I mean, it's frustrating. So frustrating. I mean, I don't know what our new normal is going to be. I'm not ready. I love being at home, but like it drives me crazy. And I know I've said this before, but it drives me crazy that people have been able to travel internationally, but like I can't go to my dad's house 45 minutes away. It's nuts. Nuts. Okay, so now this is a very large image to be on here, but I'm just going to keep them front and center because this has taken long enough. How long have we been live? Almost an hour for a card. Granted, the first 15 minutes was a wash because of the audio. But still, 45 minutes. Right, Mary? I mean, I love fact, but why does it stop? I mean, you could say that it stops at 4.25, but I don't know. I love my guillotine, and I love that this is so compact, but it does drive me crazy. I also, with the paper trimmer, I don't go through blades all that often, which is great. I just love the precision that a guillotine gives you. And I mean, if you have this tiny little bit to take off, trust it to a guillotine to do it. Yap. It's no wonder it's been an hour and however long, right? Okay, so I am taking the Granny Apple Green ink pad and my blending brush, and I'm just going to add some ink to the top. Just to the top. Oh, it's 8 o'clock. That means the Jets are playing. If you're a Jets fan and you came on Monday, woo! That was painful to watch. Dave was like halfway through the second. He's like, okay, I'm going to bed. And I'm like, what? He's like, this isn't going to get any better. I'm like, yeah, true. Okay, so if you want to tuck in behind that, I would do it now. I'm not going to. I kind of, maybe we should cover a little bit of the white. But do it before you... Hi, Diane. Adhere whatever is going underneath before you adhere the grass. And that's not to stand the other way because you know how I roll, and that's how I did the sample card. Both of those goats were put in after the fact. I was doing some coloring, Diane. These goats were tucked in after the fact. You might be able to tell. Just took my take your pick tool and poked down a little bit, and you can see that I went around the die. Well, I fussy, but I will go around this wherever. I'm okay with that part. I could probably leave that, but where they're in the grass, I will go over that with my Granny Apple Green dark blend, and I just go to that grass is going to end. And if something kind of covers, I figure out where it's going to stop and split it. So the tail only goes to there in green. So the rest of that is going to be pool party. And I, 1 and 2 probably shouldn't have gone quite that high, but if the white of a die cut or fussy cutting doesn't bug you, then just forego that. I'm kind of particular that way. So anyone catching the replay, I mean, if you've made it this far, it's too late, but if you have made it this far into the live and you're going to go back and replay, just skip the first 14 minutes, right, Jenny? Had some audio issues. But just a reminder that the Chance product sale is over end of day on Friday. Butterfly Bouquet suite of products, obviously less the Butterfly Bijou DSP. There's only a week left to get that. The bundle is carrying forward, but you won't be able to get everything else. Okay, so now I've got Dark Pool Party. Look at it. Isn't it just so cute? Now I have to remember to color in. Whoopsie. Remember I said I was going to keep it white where the clouds were? Whoopsie daisy. Now, this is very particular. You don't have to get this extra. You know, this is why I don't have room in my brain for important things. Because I hold on to stuff like this. Dave refers to that as his coffee table. His coffee table can only hold so many things. Start to fall off. What do you think? Do we need the grass? Maybe. Yay or nay to the grass? Yes. Thank you for answering that, Melanie. So these are the basic borders. Why do I keep zooming the wrong way? Basic borders dies. These are in the new catalog. There's 6 of them. They're all double-sided with the exception of this scalloped one. They are kind of well hidden in there. So this is partly why I'm showing this kind of stuff, is because you can very easily there have been a few things where it's like, oh, I didn't even notice that. Like, you have to go through your catalog a few times, and I mean, with the pre-order, we only had so many items that we could get. I'm kind of thinking I want to pop this up, but I've gotten even a little more particular, because when I pop something up that like is fully popped up, I will use the foam adhesive sheet instead of dimensionals, because if you know me, you know that I don't like things drooping on cards. I mean, no one likes drooping, but you know what I mean. That came out wrong. A narrow, yes, I think so. I'll put it like down here, right? So this might be a little bit too wide, but we're going with it. And then this will go all the way to the end. So a little spoiler, the Stamping Society is featuring our favorite carrying over floral bundles. The carrying over part is non-essential, but we have all designed with our favorite floral bundle that is sticking around. And there's only 2 of us that use the same one, so there's going to be a great variety. If you wonder how to get your hands, yeah, that's going to be a little bit higher than I wanted. I'll just cut it off. If you wonder how to get that, you can place a minimum order with the demonstrator in your market. So we are in every market. There's me in Canada. There is Charlotte Mallet in the US, Martin Stone in the UK, Daniel Bennick in the Netherlands. I mean, that's all one market. There is Angela Merritz-Reed, I hope I said that right, in New Zealand, and Kayla McCready in Australia. All of our team members get the tutorial for free every month, which is another benefit to joining. Or you can just purchase it outright. And if you purchase it outright, I've noticed that I get people from other markets purchasing it for me. So I don't know if the other members get the same thing, but I'll get one from, say, the US, and I'm like, oh, alrighty then. Thank you. Okay. Not crazy about what we can see, but I mean, is someone going to get this card and be like, no. It done, and I told you that even though this has taken longer than I thought it was going to, I wanted to show you how if we had a sentiment, and again, we're coming back to the special day dies. That's where that grass die came from, and we could put some flowers or whatever. But I'm focusing on the 2 dies that I bought this for, and you know that I don't keep retired things, but I also had to create my own mask for grass, and so I'm keeping this one. Yeah. Right, Kathy, I mean, I covered a little more than I wanted to, but it could have been worse. The turtle could have been like completely under the grass. Now, what you could do if this really bothered you is you could push some of this in your tool. Meh. Okay, so let's stamp a sentiment. Do I have room on here? I doubt it. Remember I put the glittery crystal effects on there? It got stuck. Having a scrap of basic white. And let's use from all of us. And I'm telling you, that stamp used is the only one I've used from this. And it wasn't until a couple weeks ago because I had finally ordered that stamp set. I find every year I make my list, every catalog I make my list, and there are things that maybe on my initial wish list, they may make it, stay on that list for a while, they get bumped and bumped and bumped and bumped, and then they just, because inevitably the next catalog comes along and you forget about it. But there are some items that didn't make it into my... Oh, I bet you this is going to fit. Oh, it fits. There are items that I still wanted to go. You find out that they're not carrying forward. And I mean, that always happens. But there are some that I hadn't gotten yet that now that I know that they're carrying forward, I will go ahead and buy them. And this is one of those. I'm going to use Memento. Carolyn, did you hear when I said I haven't had any kind of aspartame in a week? All day to drink. I'm not even doing my soda stream because I'm terrified that having that water, or fuzzy water as one of my friends calls it, is going to get me back on that train. So it's literally only lemon water and tea all day long. Speaking of which, I've let my tea steep too long and it's probably going to be very gross. And I haven't had coffee because I figure I only like coffee when there's like a ton of creamer or something in it. So basically the easiest way to describe how I'm eating right now, like without the aspartame and without all the junk, is clean eating. There's like no processed or junky food. There's no snacking unless it's like on fruit and nuts. So I am feeling pretty proud of myself. And can I just tell ya? Yes, Diane, my stepmom gave me SHIT weeks ago. She's like, you know, I would rather you just drink regular Pepsi. The sugar is far better than the aspartame for you. I'm like, I know, but I can't quit. And I usually swear, I'm like, I can't quit the SHIT. Don't you think I've tried? Now, this is a lot of white because I was able to maybe... Where should this come from? The makes it look like the ostrich is naked. The toucan ends up in the clouds. I'm kind of thinking the monkey, and then it just covers up the toucan's feet, which I hadn't colored anyways. So yeah, it's clean eating. And my son really wanted taco time today. So I'm like, okay, I'll order a burrito bowl. And that is the junkiest thing I've eaten in a week. What do we think? Monkey? Let me zoom in so you can see. I love this. I love that I can zoom. I could even zoom in on my face. But I don't want to do that. I think I am going to around this lightly. Maybe with pool party. I was going to do smoky slate, but I have just recently started. Usually I would use like a Stampin' Write marker and I would go around the outside, but I have come to realize that I like the look of a Stampin' Blend on the outside. I might need to do the dark one. And if you're wondering why I'm coming from the back, it's because if I'm doing this, that does help a little bit. If I'm doing this from the front and I slip, I now have to stamp and die cut this all over again. If I'm doing it from the back and I slip, it goes on the back and no one's going to see that anyways. I like how this die has a recessed area. I see that Facebook saying video's been interrupted, so I am gonna hustle my patoot and get this done. This took a lot longer than it should have. But also, it's nice to just chat because with COVID, I mean, I'm here all day with my son and all he talks about music. And here with the dog talk. So this is kind of nice. Okay, I didn't actually hear anyone say anything about where it was going, so I decided from all of us, that it's going on as if it's coming from the monkey. I don't see a whole lot of my pool on there, but at least it doesn't completely blend with the cloud. Anyways, that is my card. All I have to do in order for this to be ready to send to someone is put a Whisper White, basic white matte. I really miss Whisper White. And so I would like to mail these because my of cards is getting, I went the right way this time. My collection of cards is starting to pile up again. So I think maybe next week we'll do D-Stash where I go through and people can stake their claim. But if anyone watching wants one of these tonight, then just comment and send me a message. And I will mail. I just watched a video yesterday about being able to prepare my mail from home. Just winning all over the place this week because if you have watched me before, if we've spoken, you know that one of my most dreaded tasks is going to the post office. And for those that are attending the Spring Fling this weekend, I mailed everything on Saturday. For those that were picking them up, all but one is in your hands. But the ones that are being mailed, I went on Saturday and they said 5 days for expedited shipping. I'm like, what? 5 days is like, what? 5 days is not expedited. 2 or 3 days is expedited. So fingers crossed and prayers sent that all of these packages arrive on time. I'm getting notifications every time they move, and I'm just praying that they make it there on time because I would hate for anyone to not have their stuff in time. Anyways, that is all for tonight. I will go through the comments at some point. I don't know if you know this, but if you ever leave me a comment and there's a question and I don't comment, please message me, because when I start going through these comments, I can only go through so many. And then Facebook, there's most relevant, there's all, and I can't always see them all. So if there's a question in there, please message it to me. I had only used it once, and I got this one because of my dad. He always said, "You old goat." So I made Brandon read, like, "You're the goat, greatest of all time." And I think there's like a Nissan or Subaru commercial that has goat right now. So ink it up. But I challenge you to Google and find some images. Now, I will share pictures of each of these. I'm terrible at doing that, I realize. I'm going to share pictures of each of these inspiration, and what I do is on my phone that will, it basically creates like a mosaic. What's the word? Collage, something like that. And instead of having 20 pictures of something on my phone, them all and then delete all the rest, and then I've got them in this thing. So I'll show you what I found for the goats, and I'll show you the ones that I found for this. Now for this, I actually cased cards. I didn't, like, other than the ostrich, because I looked at some of the samples and I'm like, is that really what an ostrich looks like? So I did Google that one, but the rest of them I just cased. So, good night. Have a great rest of the week. For those of you on the weekend, can't wait. We'll see you soon. I'm going to wave there and there.